Hi everyone, it's Saran here and I am back today with another book review. Today we are reading, resourcing, and reviewing The Defining Decade. The Defining The Defining Decade by Dr. Meg Jay. Why your 20s matter and how to make the most of them now. So I initially found out about The Defining Decade because I'm writing my own book that you'll find out more about later, geared to the same market, 18 to 25-year-olds or people in your late 20s. And when I was looking up books that were already about the specific topic and researching them, I found The Defining Decade. So initially I went into it thinking that she was just going to talk about, all of the juvenile things that we get caught up in our 20s and how we need to eliminate those things and replace them with more intentional, meaningful actions. But she is a doctor and she is a clinician who's been specifically working with 20-year-olds for, I think she said 15 to 20 years, long time. So she's really taking a clinical assessment at the problems that young people are having and how to kind of look at it from this psychological perspective to, dig deep into why it is that we make the decisions that we're making and how we can make better decisions. So that was really awesome. That was one thing that I liked about this book, is that it was different from other self-help books that I've read, where it was kind of talking about, how to make it fun, how to make it exciting. This is a book where she's really like, listen, there's nothing wrong with being young and there's nothing wrong with, living out your life, but 30 is not the new 20. We think people say 30 is the new 20, and we know I'm in my 20s. If you're in your 20s, you know that maybe once upon a time 30 was the new 20, but 30 is not the new 20 now. Not at all. So that's basically what she's doing in this book. She's letting people know, like, listen, you need not wait 5 years just to figure out what career path you want to start. You need not wait until you're 30 to start thinking about things like marriage and kids. If those are things that you want in your life, you need to think about those things right away. There is a sense of pressure that comes with the tone of the book. Of course, like I said before, she's a therapist, so there's some seriousness about it for sure. But I think that it's really impactful because as a reader, you understand that nobody is really going to give it to you like this. The tone that she's giving you this in is really like, from my experience, this is what I have learned and this is what I have to give you as a 20-year-old. These are things that you need to know and that you need to understand. So definitely a read where it's very like direct, and it's like, okay, while you're reading it, you feel like you can specifically understand the importance of why your 20s matter and how to make the most of them now, like as you're reading it. So you're reflecting as you're reading, which is really cool. Meg Jay, she breaks up the book into 3 sections. So there's work, there's love, and there's the brain and the body. So she first talks about all of the stressors that come along with like trying to figure out a career path, when what to do when you don't like your job, how to navigate that, and the skills that you need to develop in just the process of vocation and developing vocation and thinking about what it is that you want to do with your life. As most people know, your 20s is really the beginning of you setting down the foundation and laying the bricks for what your career will be. And a lot of 20-year-olds, we go into our 20s thinking like we're going to be millionaires by the time we're 30. And then you hit like 23 and 24 and you're like, maybe not. But you still have all of these really big ambitions of like what life can bring you, especially as it relates to your career and your ability to affect the world with your work. So she's saying that, yes, be ambitious, have your energy, but also understand that everything is not going to happen in your 20s. Everything is not going to happen right now. There's things that are going to happen beyond your 20s. But the importance of it is making sure that you're doing what you need to do now so that when you get to 30, you're not like, oh, wow, I had 10 years when I didn't have a mortgage, didn't have a wife, didn't have kids. Maybe, some people do have kids in their 20s and are married and have mortgages. So, that's not a generalization. But before, you get to that age where you start to step into that next phase of adulthood and life starts to get a little more intense, she's saying your 20s is really the time for you to act on your ambitions and your passions, and for you to act and fail and succeed and fail again and really figure it out so that you can have a clear idea of at least the direction that you're moving in. So really with the work section, some of the topics that she talks about, identity capital, weak ties, my life should look better on Facebook, right? So she's saying, listen, you can't look at people on Facebook and judge your life and compare yourself to them, because everybody's going to put what they're doing on Facebook, or everybody's going to, present the life that they want you to see on the internet. But that's how it should be. But you should really be more focused on doing and making decisions than you should be on trying to put your life on Facebook. She also talks about the importance of networking. She also talks about weak ties and how when you connect to people, every person that you have any type of minor interaction with is somebody that can potentially help you. And that most times, while we think the people that are closest to us are the people that can elevate our lives and bring us up, when it comes to professionalism, when it comes to work, it's often the people that are an extension of us, or it's often the people that are a part of our networks that end up being able to really help us the most. So she was saying the importance of, if there's a bus driver, like if you get on the bus, like smile at the bus driver, make conversation with the bus driver if that's what you want to do. The barista that you talk to every day or that you interact with every day when you get your coffee in the morning. The person who's the security guard at your job while you're pulling into the lot, whoever it is, like those are all weak ties. Those are all people that you might not have a strong connection with. You might not have a friendship in any way, sort, or form with, but those are people that you always have the opportunity to develop the next level of a relationship with, and being able to keep your eyes open to those possibilities. In the next section, she talks about love. This was my favorite section of the book, of course, obviously, but not even because I love love, but really because she was spitting some truth and some facts in this book, y'all, okay? Like, I'm telling y'all, this was a really good book for just understanding like why your 20s matter as it relates to love. And the thing that I like about this was that she really included statistics and psychological findings that she's found in her career to include in the book. So she was talking about dating down. She's talking about how we often go through life waiting to be chosen, but when we're the chosen, we often end up settling for people that are really not that good for us, because even though we might not consciously be desperate, there's this subconscious part of us that's telling us that we're not really worthy of a certain type of love. So we're kind of just like, okay, yeah, like whoever wants to cuddle up next to me, whoever wants to give me a little bit of attention, like I'll invite you into my life. But she was talking about the importance of being the chooser. She talks about the importance of not settling, and how settling really doesn't benefit you in any way, sort, or form. Not to be picky, not that you have to be super particular, but really being intentional about making sure that you have control in your relationships. She also talks about the cohabitation effect. She says that people are more likely to have successful marriages and be happy in their marriages when they don't live together before marriage. She said there's this thing that happens when couples move in together where they kind of have these expectations of what it's supposed to mean to be adults who live together, but how the pressures of that often influence the relationship in a negative way. And a few things either happen. You either really end up finding out that, you know what, I don't really want to be with this person who I thought I wanted to be with, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But what also happens is sometimes you make the decision to get married kind of on a, well, I guess this is the typical thing that we should do now. And then as a result, what happens is that you get into a marriage, you have these expectations, you haven't really had that important conversation that talks about how is our relationship going to be significantly different now that we're married? How is our relationship actually going to change? Because you kind of just eased into it. So now you're in a marriage where the lines are kind of blurred. It's not really clear what each person's supposed to be bringing to the table, and how it's much more likely that you're going to have a successful marriage if you use living together as a marker for your marriage, right? So she talks about that in this book. She talks about the importance of like taking your time to move in, and how really moving in can kind of be like a deal breaker for relationships, because a lot of people who end up moving in together before marriage end up not finding as much success inside of marriage. Lastly, she talks about the brain and the body. Yes, so she talks about how we have to learn how to channel our energy. channel our energy, yes, and how to center ourselves as it relates to pretty much every area of our lives. I just lost my lighting, but that's okay. I'm gonna finish. So in all of these different areas of our lives, we are going to be tested, right? And we're going to have to figure out what it means to find our center, what it means to have self-control, what it means to monitor our behavior, and what it means to take care of ourselves. And she's saying that being able to find your center and control your energy and take care of yourself is a huge, huge part of your 20s and the process of learning yourself and loving yourself in your 20s. So that's wrapping up this book review. You can find The Defining Decade on Amazon. That's where I bought my copy, or probably at your local library. And my lighting is back. Look at that. Next time, guys. I'll see you next time. Make sure you visit SaronSays.com. Bye.